So to just thank everybody for staying, I hope it was worth it, and to do the requisite Nicholas Hall wrap-up. Okay, fast forward through the day. We started with Bernie Simone from Sanofi, who talked about RX to OTC switch and the fact that it needs to straddle both the business and the regulatory sides of a sponsor company. Switch is not a strategy for growth, but one of the tactical efforts to achieve growth strategies. Chuck Jolly shared his perspective based on working in the regulated OTC industry for 50 years this month. We all made note of that. He basically told us we need to spend more time looking at realistic self-assessments and understanding risk and making sure we're approaching it appropriately, and to make FDA a top priority. Vidhu, who I think maybe is, there she is, hi Vidhu, still here. She shared winning R&D strategies with us. She presented the 2015 Flonase case study and the success drivers, which included the great claims and the visuals and the packaging that consumers could not miss, the digital partnerships like the Weather Channel, maximizing retail relationships, and the expert endorsements, which led to the #1 reco achievements that you've had. The first Unplugged panel, which was J&J and United Healthcare and Kroger, essentially they talked in very much the same vein. They talked about helping people live healthier lives. They all share that mission. They all are looking to offer convenience and quality. They all want to meet the customer where they are. And I mean, 3 really different types of companies, right? A retailer, an insurance company, and a manufacturer. They really felt that we need to be working much more together because the consumer is at the heart of all of our businesses. The second panel, Unplugged panel, really featured Christina Speck from Aetna. And I thought one of her really interesting comments was that everyone deserves the enjoyment of health. And that's how Aetna's thinking about their individual market. They feel that they need to treat their members in a special way, uniquely, one at a time, build a relationship. They're looking for a lifetime relationship and loyalty. Aetna's trying to lift burdens for their members and do it in ways that are fun. She did say she thinks healthcare should be fun. I think that's a pretty neat aspiration. The role of retail care, high quality and low cost. This was presented by Alex Hurd and Jamie Grace from Walmart. They told us that healthcare expenses weigh on all of their customers. It's within the top 2 concerns now when they survey their customers in terms of what they're most worried about. As a country, Alex feels that we're doing a pretty lousy job in terms of spending on healthcare. Our trajectory is very concerning, and until we start collaborating, and I think that was his whole message, we really can't fix it, any one of us at a time. And there's a lot of talk about putting the patient at the center, but Alex, I think, would agree with what Andrea was saying, which is, we really have to understand that it's not going to happen in the current framework, the current conventions, and so on, and so we need to get together and think up some new ways. Then we had Dr. John Delfs from the Foundation for Health Smart Consumers, and he talked on the promise of a competent and confident healthcare consumer, and he taught us about behavioral science and the idea that we have to understand the tenets of self-efficacy and how to encourage that consumer along the way so they can actually make those right decisions for themselves. He feels, too, that you highlighted a public-private kind of partnership with CDC and other stakeholders. So we have so many good examples of these collaborations coming together in individual units. Now the question is, and I think Dennis used the term, how do we get it at scale? Dr. Randy Vogenberg from the National Institute of Collaborative Healthcare and the Institute for Integrated Healthcare talked about change in pharmacy. He told us it's going to happen fast, which I think is another theme of the entire conference. He also brought in the idea of employers, another stakeholder that, I'm not sure exactly how many times they were represented in the various ecosystem illustrations, but they're very influential. They pay for a lot of health care. So they're somebody we want to keep in mind. And here in our finale, we discussed what's next for RX to OTC switch. I mean, we had the honor of hearing from Dr. Leonard Siegel and from Dave McCammon and the rest of the team in terms of, maybe tweaking our thinking a little bit about almost more of a strategic utility approach. Maybe we're not trying to each one of these brands break some kind of ceiling, but instead use a common functionality an Uber approach to say, listen, we can just change the whole thing and now take it to a new level and really start to realize this public health proposition. So with that, it's my pleasure to introduce Nicholas to just say goodnight to everybody.
Thanks to everybody, and thanks for those who've persevered to the very end. I think key learning from this conference is to make it a day and a half next time. Normally I do a summary, but it's just been done, and it was done by Monica yesterday. All those summaries again have been videoed, and they've been posted. 2 of the 3 have already been posted. We haven't quite got around to editing Mary Alice's. So this is a very internet and connected meeting. So there's a lot of material that's already been posted, and my colleague Holly has been busily social networking throughout the conference. So I'm just going to do the thanks, and the thanks are first of all to our wonderful joint partner, network partners, Everything Health, that's Mary Alice Joe and Joe McGovern, and many other people in the organization, my own team of Lianne and Jen, and then Chelsea and others. 2 big teams working for almost a year to put this together, so my sincere thanks to everyone there. Great hotel. We've had a really good time here. Nice room, nice catering. I hope you agree. And there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, including a hotel we had originally booked, which decided to close for refurbishment. So it was a late switch to this hotel, and we're very grateful that they could accommodate us. As always, deep thanks to the speakers, the panelists, and the moderators. 27 in total, and a couple of gate crashers, I think, because I saw people up here I didn't think were on the agenda. But you know, that's nice when our meeting is a magnet and starts attracting people who want to come in and state their point of view. Most especially to you and to those who couldn't stay to the very end, but we did have 140 people here at one stage. Very importantly, evaluation forms, because we, I think, are rather forced to have the meeting next year because so many people have said, and we're going to come back next year and tell you how this program worked out. We've had people who said, we can't join you next year, but put us down. We can't join you this year, but put us down for next year. So I think that's a commitment I'm making on our behalves, that Everything Health and Nicholas Hall will definitely run this conference again around about this time next year. So on that happy note, again, thank you. Wherever you are going, travel safely, stay healthy, stay happy, and if we don't see you before this time next year, then we look forward to seeing you then. So on that note, I close this first Everything Health and Nicholas Hall conference, even though there was a pre-first conference many times before. I feel a little bit like Pol Pot, the dictator of Cambodia, who said, "This is year 0, everything before me is evil." It isn't actually that. It's just been our crossroads. It's just been the first in the new series. So please come to the second meeting next year. Good night, everybody.